The title of my talk today is doing good with tech, and the idea for this came out of last year. Actually, had my little orange book and took some notes from a couple talks that were given, and so I just wanted to bring up a couple quotes that I wrote down from last year. Ben Elmore said, "Twin is a place where people of great talent and craftsmanship are allowed to think differently, come together to deploy solutions that change the world that we live in." Excuse me. And Alex Nason said, "Bring out the best in yourself by bringing out the best in others." I found these personally inspiring. And a third one, "We believe our efforts will have a positive impact on the world." And that's something that I think is kind of special about Twin is, well, first of all, just doing consulting, our job is to go in and help people do what they do better or provide solutions that they might not be able to come up with on their own. But there's a culture here of that by doing that, you're actually improving the world. And so what I wanted to talk about was, as I thought about that, I had kind of motto came to mind for myself that it's been sort of my twin motto since then, which is be excellent and do good. So doing good with tech, why? Well, I had to make this slide because I wanted to put the little wiggly guy. I thought, you know, that's like real 90s, I like him. But so first I just want to talk about do good. Excuse me. If you think about the happiness that you have, that you enjoy in life, the good things that happen to you, either that you do for yourself or that happen to you, pretty much, I challenge you to think of anything that didn't come through something good that was done for you or to you. The kindness of others basically is what we depend on just to get through the day, like the AV team here is providing that for us. And further, by doing good for others, it improves our own sense of well-being. I think this is being proven scientifically, but I think intuitively we all know this. And the kind of good that we can do for others, the good that we do tends to start with ourselves. And then maybe those that we love, our family, our close friends, our extended family, the people that we work with, the clients that we have, sort of an expanding set of circles. And as you keep expanding that circle, especially as you have the means to, maybe because you're comfortable enough to be able to, that you can start thinking bigger, it can extend to, you know, the entire world, right? And so that's what we see with certain people, but you don't actually have to be a Bill Gates or Mark Zuckerberg to have an effect on the world or to be able to have that kind of goal of having a positive effect on the world. So I like the ripple effect metaphor. This quote, "Even the smallest act of caring for another person is like a drop of water." Oh, thank you, I need that. Thank you very much. It will make ripples throughout the entire pond. That should work. So, doing good with tech. Well, we're all technologists here. We all work with technology, so that's the reason I'm talking about that. But what I think is kind of unique and cool about technology in the world today is that there's so much we can do with it so easily. And I broke it into two categories for us, and from my own experience. One is just using the facility that we have with technology, with existing tools to do good. So that's and I'm going to give a couple personal examples about that. The other is leveraging our creativity and technical skills to build tools and platforms that help others to do good. And that's where you can start having really widespread effect. So I'll give some examples about that too. So just from my own personal example, I'll just talk quickly about a couple things I've been involved in recently. And I think one of the things that I would stress is following a passion of your own, and that's how you easily become invested in what you do. So I have an interest as a musician and someone interested in Tibetan culture and philosophy. When the earthquake happened in Nepal last spring, I was involved in an effort in New York City to have a concert, put together a concert to raise money for the reconstruction over there. And through teamwork and using technology and my interest in music, putting together a concert, we were able to raise $20,000 with one event, and that felt really good. Another thing I've been involved in is supporting the arts in the school district that we belong to, and so I've been president of a parents group within the district called Arts Alive. And again, contributing my own technology skills, interest in the arts, community involvement, we've been able to raise money that funds things like field trips, workshops. We built an art gallery in the high school, things like that. So that's very, very fulfilling, and it's a way of bringing things that I've learned as within Twin and in my technology career out into the world. So what did we use? What the technologies I'm talking about are the things we just use without thinking about: email, Eventbrite, Facebook, Google Sheets, a WordPress site, one-page websites, MailChimp, and then some plain old legwork. But these are things that we just don't think twice about using, but you have to know that a lot of people don't use all those things, or they use one or two, but to actually bring those together and offer them up to your community or to the team that you build can really have an impact. So part two, building new tools to help others to do good. This is where I did some research for the sake of this talk, and found some interesting examples that I want to share with you. And as I put them together, they sort of fell into 4 categories that spelled glee, not to be associated with the TV show, but giving, lending, educating, and empowering are the 4 categories. So I'm going to give one example of each of those. And the first is giving. So giving you tend to think of as, donating. And I was happy to learn that the average American household contributes almost $3,000 a year. This gives me a goal to reach for. And online giving is a small portion of that, but it's growing. The number I found was from 2013, but that's a growing number. And what you see is that the small nonprofits are leveraging online giving and working with things like pledges and pledge drives and setting up what's it called, monthly payments and that repeating payments, that kind of thing. So this guy Jason Smith that I found started a company called Giving Tools. Now he was a designer, worked for a design company, and some of the work that they did was for nonprofits that were doing these kinds of campaigns. And what they found was that the credit card and payment processing had very high fees, and that that they were building one-off tools for their clients. So he ended up heading an effort to build a platform working with a payment system that was much lower, and built these tools so that small companies could arrange donations, put together pledge drives, and purchasing and registrations for events. And I spoke to him, and it's a new company. They're doing well, but their support, it's something that's sort of on the side while they continue with their design. Lending, so where we had the charity and the giving, what's interesting about lending, and there's a TED Talk that I found by Jessica Jackley. She is the co-founder of an organization called Kiva.org. I wonder if anyone's heard of that before. They do micro lending and microfinance through lending. And what that means is someone, let's say in Africa, needs to buy 2 goats, and they need $100. And this site can hook up a donor in the United States or anywhere else to lend them that $100, and you get paid back. over time. But what happens with the lending, as she points out in this talk, which I recommend watching, is that you end up sort of in a dialogue. So you're not just giving and then walking away saying, okay, I gave. Now you're in a dialogue with someone who is using that money to improve their life. And she points out that entrepreneurship is based on the assumption that Jason said, tomorrow is greater than today. So, and that also the loan, giving a loan equals attention. So there's that dialogue. And I recommend that you watch that. So third was educating. And just wanted to touch on massive online learning. I think probably most of you have tried that in some form. I just think it's a fascinating way of giving. We have colleges and universities that are giving away courseware. But what I found interesting as I looked into this was that there's a philosophy behind that. It's not just about pushing information to the student. It's about empowering students to work with each other and to the teamwork that takes place through that organization. And one thing, though, that was an article in Slate cautioned about the fact that sometimes this online learning can be in competition with actual brick and mortar educational institutions. Like they gave an example of Rwanda, and so there's a potential danger there, but enormous potential. And so Martin Dudjiamas is the creator of Moodle, which is an open source, what he calls learning management system, so LMS. And they've got 64,000 sites in 224 countries. 81 million students are using Moodle. It's free, open source, and they make their money on using sort of the Red Hat model, where they provide services. They have partners who provide services that pay royalties back to them, and all the money goes back into further development. And actually, I didn't mention the business model for the first two, but all in every one of these, they're motivated by a giving sort of perspective, but there's money involved, and they have ways of taking a small percentage to support their efforts and pay their employees. Last, empowering. This gentleman, Nick Hughes, has worked on two projects that I found really fascinating. M-Pesa is mobile money using SMS. It's in use primarily in Kenya, but it's also being deployed in other countries, as you see up there. It allows you to make small payments, exchange money through SMS on a feature phone that might cost $10. And in areas where you have no banking, and you've been relying on cash, or to allow someone who's perhaps living in England to send money back home to Kenya, it's really a groundbreaking type of system. And then M-Kopa is another thing they've done, I think primarily in Kenya, of installing solar equipment that's smart, internet-enabled, so they can pay for some electricity using their phone. They get the electricity for X number of days, and as they pay, they're actually paying off the equipment. So once they've finished paying it off, the equipment is theirs and their energy is free. So, ideas. I'll bet everyone here has had some cool ideas, right? It's sort of what we do and we have design thinking, and we have cool ideas. Actually, making them happen is another story. But so I'll just share my Starbucks idea that I had the other day. You can have your Starbucks card that membership that you can use to pay for your Starbucks. So my thought is, what if you could round up the transaction to the nearest dollar every time? And in your Starbucks membership profile, choose who you want the money to go to, right? So, sounds cool. Now we just have to make it happen. So I guess I have to call Starbucks. But another TED Talk that I really enjoyed by Derek Sivers talks about the fact that ideas are worth nothing unless they're executed. And I think as consultants, we're well aware of that. We see lots of ideas that we have to come in and make them. We see companies that don't execute sometimes, right? And that's our job to help. So he actually multiplies the value of the idea against how well it's executed to get its net value. So takeaway, just want to reiterate the ripple effect. I think just in the work that we do as twin people out in the world, we're having a positive effect. And I encourage you to have your own projects and ways of doing good in the world and being aware of that effect that you can have. I'll just say again, be excellent, do good. Thank you very much.